Still looking at me.
Yo, what's up guys? How are you doing today? Same as usual, but it was chilly this morning and it was pretty cool, and I was not expecting that, and yet it is such a lovely day. It is pretty warm and cool at the same time, but I was just asleep the whole time. But at least I had a good one. And I forgot to mention that there is going to be a new music video from Nemophila, but it won't be till May 11th. So I'm pretty sure you're already aware of what's going on. It's just that I forgot to say that yesterday. But I'm sure that you've seen a couple of the screenshots of the behind of the video. So I cannot wait. So in the meantime, we're just gonna have to be patient on that. So I have a clip from Mojo TV that was recently, that came out, that was a couple of days ago, and I am going to be checking out, or simply I'm going to be reacting of the title called Top 20 Best Fighting Games of All Time. And the reason I just wanted to do that because that it's been a long time that when it comes to getting a request or recommendations, it would be from Mojo TV. Depending on if it's a top 5 or top 10. And B, I still enjoy fighting games, even though that I'm not 100% a pro fighting game, but at least that I give the best effort. We're talking about like 50-50 in that matter, so if that makes it any sense. But still, I enjoy it, and it's always been that way. So let's begin. And more importantly, if you are new to this channel and if you like what you see so far, be sure to click and subscribe, and you get notification from yours truly, your friendly neighborhood reacting man, for reaction, gaming, music, streaming, and anime. And now, without further ado, it's time to react. Tekken 3. My fun memories.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 best fighting games of all time.
Okay. Like this one.
For this list, we're going over the absolute best fighting games to ever exist. Have you played any of these titles? Which ones?
I'm pretty sure that I have,
friends
especially
going another
MK9.
round or 5? Share with us in the comments below. Number 20, War of the Monsters.
And this was on the PS2.
As kids, we long dreamed of having our own kaiju-sized fights against friends.
True,
Arcade games like Rampage gave us a taste of that, but when it comes to monsters fighting each other, War of the Monsters was everything we had been wanting.
Yeah, I think this is one game that I never played, even though when I had the PS2 console.
Up to 4 players can duke it out while leveling buildings and avoiding environmental hazards. The best part was the diverse selection of monsters to choose, from giant eyeballs to robots to mutant animals and insects. Needless to say, if there was a monster fight you wanted to see, Bug versus Bot or Sweet Tooth versus a giant ape, War of the Monsters delivered
Okay, I see it does. Okay, it is on the PlayStation now. I will consider that I'm going to play with that. I just want to see if it is available. Yes!
Fights for New York.
Now, this is the game that I played the shit out of this. It sucks that it was a rental, though.
Fighting game with some attitude. While the first Def Jam game was a brutal and badass gem of a brawler, its sequel, Fight for New York, was so much better. Just like with the first game, Fight for New York was packed with a roster of 67 fighters.
Busta Rhymes versus Exhibit. I mean, this is the kind of the enjoyment that you wanted to see.
Featuring some of our favorite rappers and hip-hop artists like Busta Rhymes, Flavor Flav, Carmen Electra, Ice-T, and even Snoop Dogg. Come on, it ain't a party
I just can't help it.
Of course,
when I hear that word,
it's came a sick selection of songs to jam to while we deck our friends across their faces. We just wish GameCube players weren't missing so much of the awesome soundtrack.
It needs to be remastered. Just for the PS4.
Power Stone 2.
And PS5.
The original Power Stone featured a new
I
formula
do
for fighting
remember
games, one that
the first
saw
game
two
that
characters tossing
I think
items
it
at each
was
other and collecting power-ups
that
to
my old
finish each
friend
other
used to
off.
have.
Power Stone 2
And he did have
simplified things
the
by
sequel.
removing the combo system, but offered up other features to make up for this removal. In addition to a handful of new playable characters, as well as most of the original cast being present, it was now possible for up to 4 players to participate in the mayhem.
There was
making
one
fights
character
much more
that
chaotic.
when
For
you
Dreamcast
collect
owners,
all the
this
stones,
was definitely
and
a game to bring
he's
to
all
parties.
transformed like a Super Saiyan. I forget what's the name.
Number 17, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax.
And I also believe that this game is also was restored in HD.
The original Persona 4 Arena was a surprisingly good spin-off for the Shin Megami Tensei series, boasting tight controls, an interactive narrative across its 13-character roster, and a combat system that perfectly translates Persona's style and concepts. So why does the sequel, Ultimax, make it on here instead? Well, for starters, it features more characters with unique playstyles and moves. On top of that, it is much more balanced than its predecessor, and the story perfectly closes the story arc of Persona 4. And this goes without mentioning the fantastic art and animation of co-developer Arc System Works, who you may see a couple more times on this list.
I may check this one out. I just need to see how much it is.
16, Darkstalkers, The Night Warriors.
Now, this is one game I do remember. Memories back at the arcade room.
For a time, Capcom was one of the giants of the fighting game genre, particularly in the 90s. In addition to the full realization of one particular franchise, Capcom created another 2D fighter that featured more of a horrific yet goofy aesthetic. The first Darkstalkers featured a small yet humble roster of weird fighters like Morrigan Ainsland, Felicia, Lord Raptor, and
Felicia was
Sasquatch.
my favorite.
You got to witness these beasts
I guess that
brawl
you
it out
could
in
say
some
that I have a
vibrant
thing
settings.
when
While
it
isn't
comes
as deep
to
as later Darkstalker titles
feline
would
characters,
become, this one was a
per
great
se.
way to introduce new players to the world
From
of
Catwoman
fighting
to
games.
Tigra. But Felicia was my first.
Number 15, The King of Fighters 13.
Sadly, I don't have the game because I don't have the PS3.
Ash Crimson's story comes to an end, and with it comes one of the best entries
And yes, I am
in this
aware
juggernaut
that
of a
it is
franchise.
also
This is largely
available
due to
on the
streamlining
PlayStation
much
now.
of the motifs present in its predecessor, and in its place applying
Sucks that
refined
you have to
versions
get
of
to
some of the
stream it.
series' more popular features. Sure, its story mode is practically impossible to follow unless you're a veteran of the lore, but that doesn't take away from its beautiful visual style and vastly improved controls. Fans will most certainly get a kick
very
out of
impressive
letting
how
loose
the
with so
graphics
many
looks
crazy,
very
colorful combos,
very
not to
stylish
mention
in a
another
very
chance to check out
anime
Mai's
style.
magnificent
Even
set
the
of
background that says it all. It's just beauty.
techniques.
And I never could pull off of the supers because it was really difficult to do that.
Number 14, Injustice 2.
What do you have in mind, lady?
How about slaps and tickles at 10 paces?
And I still
After
have
successful reboot of
the
another
save
legendary
data
fighting
for
game
this game.
franchise, NetherRealm Studios was tasked with creating a DC fighting game. While Injustice: Gods Among Us saw monumental success in 2013, its 2017 sequel managed to improve upon the formula while delivering an excellent narrative and borrowing cues from NetherRealm's flagship franchise, who we'll get to soon. As for the roster, well, now you could see Batman and Superman take on the likes of even more heroes and villains like Gorilla Grodd, Starfire, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Cowabunga!
Skins allowed even more characters to be added without the extra work of having to rebalance the game.
Nice. Pepperoni.
That's such a throwback
Number
up to
13,
87.
Project Justice.
Okay, this is one game that I don't think I've never played ever.
Poor rival schools had long been neglected, but Akira's inclusion as one of the final DLC characters for Street Fighter V has helped open some folks' eyes. Whereas the original Rival Schools was more of a traditional fighter with small tag assist elements, the sequel, Project Justice, went a bit more crazy with it.
It does look pretty interesting, though.
New mechanics like the party-up and team-up abilities made fights a bit more based on meter management while creating a visual spectacle of brutal attacks. As for the story mode, events could alter depending on the outcome of certain fights. In other words, losing a fight did not necessarily mean a loss in progress. Crossing our fingers for Project Justice, or Rival Schools in general, to be revived. Number 12. Samurai Showdown. Of the SNK games, Samurai Showdown as a franchise has withstood the test of time thanks to how different it is than most fighting games. The 2019 revival showcased its calling card perfectly. This wasn't a game that wanted you to build up crazy combos. It's a fighting game about patience, acting more defensive as you study your opponent's movements.
Resembles to Psylocke of X-Men. So that's just me saying that because, yeah, I'm a comic nerd.
With even light attacks dealing significant
that's
damage,
one of her
there
ancestors
isn't much room for error
in a
here.
way.
Find your openings to disarm your adversary and finish them quickly. Needless to say, Samurai Showdown perfectly replicates those classic samurai duels we've seen across TV and movies while offering a complex and risky combat system.
And I still have it though, so it's not going anywhere.
Number 11, Tekken III.
Hey.
The series may still be going strong, but no one can deny that the turning point for this series came when Jin and his fellow newcomers took over.
It just changed the format of the series.
With far superior graphics, a huge boost to the character roster, as well as much greater depth given to the actual fighting, especially in terms of movement. This set the standard for all Tekken games that followed, and remains one of the most successful games under the banner of the original PlayStation. We'll just forget that Tekken Ball was ever a thing.
Even though it was, but there was also a 3D side-scrolling of missions.
Blaze Blue, Central Fiction.
Okay, this is another Blaze Blue game that one I don't think I ever played.
It was really hard to choose which Blaze Blue game to put on this list. Our original top 10 featured Calamity Trigger, but later entries like Chrono Phantasm Extend and Cross Tag Battle had their own wealth of fun. However, there's something about Central Fiction that keeps us coming back. The roster of 36 fighters featured a ton of familiar and new faces,
36?
each just as fun to play as the rest of the cast.
Look at this one dude that just has his coat on.
Plus,
and just
there's that insanely expansive story mode that rivals even fighting games with bigger budgets. It's also the Blaze Blue title that has seen extensive support, unlike the rest of the series, seeing a Switch port in 2019 and planning to implement rollback netcode for the stream version in 2022.
Nice.
Number 9, Dead or Alive 5, Last Round.
I think
Even though we would see two other versions before this one, Last Round was, and still is, known to be the superior rendition in the franchise. Save for the Xbox 360 exclusive Dead or Alive 4, Last Round was the ultimate revival. Dead or Alive had been
it's
needed,
coming back to me. I still have the game
roster, expanding
because of
on
my
the cosmetic customization and
still my
improving the
favorite.
visuals by upping the resolution to HD and bringing the frame rate to 60 frames
It's just
per
that the
second.
costumes are just too expensive.
It also featured the same level of action, humor, and sexiness that Dead or Alive has been known for. With the sick main game
like
being such
all
a
the time.
disappointment, one can see why folks have flocked back to Last Round.
Okay, so last round was the best one.
Number 8, Mortal Kombat. Now this is how you relaunch a franchise. Quite literally taking everything back to the beginning. This reimagining not only brought with it the classic characters we all know and love, but surrounded them with an immense amount of bloody and brilliant content.
Back in the day, showing
With
the
fatalities and
X-ray
newly introduced
was
X-ray
really
moves that
gnarly
redefined
and just
stylistic
brutal
violence,
at the same
it had
time.
an
You get to see
online
how
mode that had the whole
painful it
world
was.
battling against each other, as well as a narrative that was actually well written and proves that Western fighting games could have good stories. Mortal Kombat 2 may have raised the bar, but this one shot it into the stratosphere.
But I played the most of it. It still was worth it.
Number 7, Soul Calibur 6.
I still own this game.
Look, Soul Calibur 2 will always have a special place in our hearts for its visuals, controls,
Mine
and
too.
inclusion of
Mine
weird
too.
guest characters. However, Soul Calibur 4 managed to blow everything out of the water. In addition to strange guest characters like Geralt of Rivia, 2B, and Samurai Showdown's Homaru, Soul Calibur 4 featured an insanely deep character customization, allowing players to create almost entirely new
And
characters.
trust me
or
when I
weird
say that
renditions of
I have
pre-existing
one who I subscribe to has a ton of customization when it comes to the creating of their own characters. I've seen it.
If the regular Soul
It's
Calibur story
ridiculous.
mode wasn't enough single-player content for you, the Libra of Soul campaign offered dozens of hours while centering the story around your custom character. With fantastic controls, a meaty roster, and spectacular visuals to boot, Soul Calibur 6 is the definitive experience in the franchise.
Here you go!
That's one game I need to get back on.
Number 6, Killer Instinct.
You know, back in the day, I wish that the Killer Instinct that would be as a multi-platform.
The final result made
Something
it
that
one of the
one
best
game that I've
fighting games
never played.
ever
I
made.
know that
We'll have a
at the
soft
Rec
spot
Bar
for
they have the original.
1994 title, but the
This is
2013
something I
rendition
would
was
enjoy this,
practically a
but I don't
pioneer.
have Xbox.
Killer Instinct provided the same level of hyperactive action fans knew it for, while also incorporating tools and tutorials that helped ease new players into the game, regardless of when they jumped in.
And if I'm not mistaken, it is a button masher, but it's all about the mastery of the
Shadow Attacks gave
combos.
players new and sick ways to end combos or string them longer. Simplified Ultras ended fights in musical and climactic ways, as did Ultimates, and the music from Mick Gordon shines spectacularly. If you love fighting games, you absolutely need to play Killer Instinct.
I wish I could. That's all what I'm saying.
Number 5, Skullgirls.
Cool. So okay, so it's number 3.
There are several fighting games in the indie marketplace vying for our time and money, and a lot of them are really great. When it comes to Skullgirls, though, there hasn't been anything like it.
Stop making the incision. Cross. Bandage this.
On top of borrowing and evolving ideas from tag team fighters that came before it, Skullgirls has been the indie fighting game that has only seen more success as the years go by. And rightfully so. The online netcode is some of the best on the market. The addition of new characters expands on new ways to play while offering unique mechanics, and the hand-drawn animation and art style make it one of the most beautiful fighting games you can get.
You're mine.
Well, to let everyone know, I do have the second encore of the game.
Number 4, Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Yes. Sorry.
Look, Budokai Tenkaichi 3 was fantastic when it came to fan
Hey,
service, but in terms
I'm
of
with you.
Fighting, there just
Budokai
hasn't been a
Tenkaichi
Dragon
3
Ball
will always
game with
be
as
the
much
best
love and
Dragon
care
Ball
put into
game
it
of all
as Dragon
time.
Ball FighterZ.
But this one, however, I was so hyped about that. And just
Once again,
seeing
the
that
art
trailer,
system
that
works
really
manages
got
to
me,
deliver with
really
exceptional
got
animation
me
and
all
visuals,
pumped up.
replicating the look and feel of the anime. FighterZ also featured a unique combat system where pulling off combos rewarded you with the legendary Dragon Balls, eventually allowing you to summon Shenron himself. Couple this combat system with a hearty helping of post-launch support with DLC characters, and you've got a Dragon Ball game that every fan needs in their library.
And I still play it on the Switch version.
Number 3, Street Fighter II,
The
The
classic.
World Warrior.
This was also the best game from Capcom, and it's been non-stop.
The Street Fighter franchise has seen a wealth of great games like Third Strike and the Alpha series. Even Street Fighter V managed to bring in fans, albeit after some drastic improvements were made to its story, content, and quality
Yeah,
of life. However,
it was a
fighting
mix
games
of
just
ups
wouldn't
and
be where they
downs.
are today if it weren't for Street Fighter II. Unlike the slow and clunky original Street Fighter, the second game was faster and more visually impressive while allowing players to string attacks together. It set the scene for competitive gaming as well, with some organizations still holding tournaments of the game to this very day. For Street Fighter II, age has only strengthened it.
And that's also going to be part of Capcom's fighting game
Number
collection.
2, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, New Age of Heroes.
I was in love with this game, and I used to own it on the
In case that
Dreamcast.
repetitive title music didn't clue you in, this game will indeed take you for a ride. Despite the recent sequels trying to capture what made this entry so accessible, nothing has quite managed to live up to it. Especially the experience of unleashing the fury of your favorite 3-character tag team and lighting up the entire screen with hyper combos in glorious 2D. With its massive
It is
roster,
unfortunate
containing
that how
everyone
that
from
we
Spidey to Ryu
we went
and
all the way
every
to the
A
fast
C-list
forward.
character in
I mean,
between, along with its
Marvel vs.
iconic art
Capcom
style,
3
this
was a good game.
undoubtedly Marvel
Even
and
the
Capcom's
Ultimate version was
biggest
also
bout.
good. All we get was Infinite, and this needs to be remastered as well.
Number 1, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Wow, really? I'll be damned.
We know everyone has their favorite Smash game. Speedy players will stick to Melee,
Yeah.
while Subspace Emissary
Yeah.
fans are still going back to Brawl. Retro fans are gonna play 64 every once in a while, as
Trust
Smash
me,
4
everybody
fans
will be
explore the
play-
different ideas that game
I'll
holds.
explain later.
Ultimate, on the other hand, you can't ignore how massive this game has become. Between the extensive selection of stages, the roster of 89 playable characters, the unique take on
89
classic mode
characters.
ladders, the customizable game modes, and how Spirits throws in more characters from various IPs. Smash Ultimate isn't just a fantastic fighter, it's a celebration of video games as a whole. And even though the DLC is done, we'll be playing it
Yeah,
until our
it's
Switches break.
over. So there are no fighter paths on Smash.
In the mood for more awesome gaming content? be sure to check out this video here on Mojo Plays. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.
It had to be Smash. I mean, it's clearly it was one of the best series of all time from Nintendo, and I can assure you that years ago there was a gaming store that they would be holding and participate of the Super Smash tournaments, whether if it's from Melee to Brawl, and I've seen tons of fans who would get set up in matches, and I just basically just observing and see how far they go, and that and to this day in Ultimate is already becoming as part of the game list, that's going to be held of another tournament that I think that's going to be for this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I still own the game, and I played it for a little bit from time to time, but mostly I would play from Dragon Ball FighterZ to Guilty Gear, Strive, and that also should have been on that list as well. But other than that, I mean, it is a pretty good choice of every games that is that's on that list, and on the few that I used to own, and then again, there are some that I never played. So, as I mentioned, the War of the Monsters, that is going to be considerate that I just wanted to give it a shot with this, because that is one of the classic gems, and that King of Fighters 13. So they're all available on the PlayStation now. Personally, I would love if Capcom would just revive Marvel vs. Capcom 2, because that was a gem for me that I played the hell out of it. And that goes for Def Jam Fight for New York. That also deserves that as well, because it needs more soundtrack and more original songs that needs to be added. No offense, but what are your favorite fighting games of all time? So I would like to hear your thoughts about this, and more importantly, what did you think of the top 20 list that you enjoyed? And if you did, let's leave it a likes, and also leave the comments down below, and I will catch y'all in the next video. So take care, guys. Peace.